Good evening and welcome to the Daily News Roundup. I am Abigail Smythe. Coming up in this evening's newscast, person of interest in death of social media influencer charged in separate matter. Florida law enforcers determined to clamp down on Jamaican crime syndicates. Opposition MP offering legal services pro bono to St. Thomas residents as they consider suing the government. Government looking to incorporate nuclear power in energy mix. In business, the Bank of Jamaica says the country's financial systems remain stable but heightened surveillance needed. In the region, Guyana set to earn more money from oil sector under new production sharing agreement. Further overseas, millions in the U.S. experiencing record warm temperatures for November, possibly fueling severe storms and tornadoes. And in sports, 4 newcomers included in 19-member squad for the Reggae Boys Friendly International away in Cameroon. Now for the news in detail. Rushane Patterson, the person of interest in the death of social media influencer Anika Slickiana Townsend, has been charged in a separate matter. He has been charged with abduction and assault occasioning bodily harm relating to a 2018 incident with an ex-girlfriend in Duhaney Park, St. Andrew. Reports are that the 33-year-old Patterson, otherwise known as Chizzy, convinced an ex-girlfriend to meet him at a gas station along the Duhaney Park Main Road on Boxing Day 2018. The reports further state that once the girlfriend was in the car with him, Patterson showed her a picture of her present boyfriend and demanded to know how many times they had sex. He also reportedly accused the ex-girlfriend of working with the police. Patterson reportedly drove away with the ex-girlfriend against her will before stopping along the roadway to choke her and hit her all over her body several times. Patterson reportedly demanded that the woman go to the ATM and withdraw money to give him. The woman reportedly refused the request, after which Patterson allegedly threatened to kill her and throw her body away. The woman reportedly convinced Patterson that she will not make a report to the police, after which Patterson reportedly took her back to her car and drove away. The woman subsequently reported the matter to the police. And in 2017, Patterson was freed of a 2014 murder, rape, and abduction charge relating to an incident in Kingston after the prosecution's main witness in the matter failed to attend court. Patterson was taken into custody on Wednesday after failing to surrender to authorities investigating the killing of Slickiana. He was asked to report to the police after being named a person of interest on October 22, but failed to do so. Patterson is to be questioned by the police in relation to the Slickiana matter, after which he is expected to be charged. In the meantime, the attorney at law, Michelle Thomas, who is representing Rushane Patterson, is accusing the police of breaching due process after her client was reportedly questioned behind her back. She says her client was questioned on Wednesday and the statement recorded. Thomas reports that her client was taken from his cell and transported to a guest house in Hanover by the police as part of their investigation. Given the sensitive nature of the high-profile case, Thomas says the police should ensure they dot all their I's and cross all their T's. She argues that she should have been present in the interrogation of her client. While stressing that the police are aware of the protocols, the attorney expresses concern that her client could have incriminated himself or prejudiced his case. Patterson was apprehended by the police at a guest house in Hanover on Wednesday, a day before he was expected to surrender to the security forces. He was named as a person of interest shortly after Townsend's body was recovered from the sea in Reading, St. James on October 21. The police had reported on Tuesday that Patterson would be turning himself in on Thursday and would be charged after he was questioned. But according to the lawyer, the investigator in the case deliberately blocked her from the question and answer session and went ahead and engaged the services of a justice of the peace. She adds that her client was told he did not need a lawyer. Thomas warns that the police are treading on a dangerous course, as any statement that is given under coercion is not admissible in court. Meanwhile, Area 1 Police Commander, Assistant Commissioner of Police Clifford Chambers, says he cannot respond to Thomas's claims as he has not yet been updated on that aspect of the investigation. He also points out that more than 5 lawyers have expressed an interest in representing Patterson and adds that he was unsure if Thomas has been retained in the matter and is, in fact, his attorney. 2 men were shot dead in a house which was then set ablaze in Hendon, Norwood, St. James. Residents reported hearing disturbances in the night but did not investigate. Upon the arrival of the police Friday morning, they found the slow-burning remains of both men, who have so far been identified as Shane and Smokey. The police are investigating. And 3 persons were shot, 1 fatally, in St. Anne Thursday night. It's reported that about 7 o'clock, people were standing near a cashpot outlet in Maumee Bay when men armed with guns walked up and opened fire, hitting 3 of them. One of the men, 39-year-old Ricardo Simpson, died of his injuries. A 16-year-old student is also among those injured. Students were sent scampering for cover Friday morning as gunmen reportedly fired shots at a motorist in the vicinity of the Alpha Primary School on South Camp Road in Kingston. Reports are that the motorist was attacked by men on a motorbike at the stoplight in front of the school around 8 o'clock. An eyewitness said the gunmen fired several shots, hitting the vehicle. The driver reportedly escaped unhurt. Students who were making their way to the school compound are said to be traumatized by the incident. Salt Springs St. James gang warfare has reportedly spilled over into Lauderhill, Florida, creating mayhem. Florida law enforcers are determined to clamp down on the crime syndicates. Jamaican dancehall stakeholders are reportedly enmeshed in the unfolding saga. A double murder on October 19 in the Sunshine State, the latest in a string of multiple killings associated with the gang war, has resulted in the arrest of 26-year-old producer Jareem Jayman Shelton. The men he is accused of killing, according to court records, have been identified as Dwayne Musselman Francis, a hired killer, and Jeff Fordlord Murray, an upcoming artist, both known figures in Florida. Shelton is reputedly affiliated with the infamous Bushead gang, which investigators say is sympathetic towards dancehall artist Andre Whittaker, more popularly known as Squash. Some gangs are reportedly in a feud with another intra-parish gang, the Waltham Bad Breed Gang, whose reputed leader is also on U.S. soil. U.S. authorities believe the alleged gangsters traveled to America by boat or by crossing its southern border with Mexico. Shelton, as well as alleged members of the Bushead gang, left Jamaica in the summer and have been featured in music videos and Instagram posts of Squash, who has also been in Florida for some time. On May 26, Shelton was one of 2 persons who survived a drive-by shooting in Jamaica at a birthday party along Marl Road in St. James. 3 others, including his girlfriend, Tonian Reed, aka Two Fly, of Jarrett Terrace, died. The others killed were 27-year-old Chadwell Fraser, otherwise known as Bomb Brain or Chad, of Felicity Road, Glendevon, and 24-year-old Shamario Chippy Calvin of Ball Ground Rose Heights in St. James. Music producer Linval Thompson Jr., popularly known as Shabdon, and a 22-year-old Tajay Clark, otherwise called Fathead of Salt Spring, have been charged in relation to the incident. Florida court documents allege that the bloodletting in the United States escalated over a reported shooting on August 3 at a club called the Garden 411 in Lauderdale Lakes. According to the documents, the Bushead Syndicate and associates challenged the Waltham Bad Breed Gang, which they believe was behind the attack. Court records say the players are wanted for murder in Jamaica. Francis was reportedly blamed for the Lauderdale Lakes shooting, which triggered the attack on October 19 in Lauderhill, where he and Murray were killed. Investigators linked Shelton to the double murder, allegedly matching his blood to 3 samples retrieved from the crime scene. He was held and charged on October 25 after forensic and video evidence, as well as Instagram posts from his Jaman Music account, allegedly placed him at the crime scene. There are 2 possible penalties for first-degree murder in Florida: the death penalty and life in prison without the possibility of parole. Shortly after the October double killing, a voice note went viral of threats against the life of Squash, forbidding any promoter from booking him on shows. That prompted the entertainer to post a video before the Florida investigations became public, dispelling the allegations of his gang involvement and assuring his fans and family that he was well and, quote, fully active, end quote. Deputy Superintendent of Police Aaron Samuels, who heads the operations portfolio in the St. James Police Division, says the police are monitoring the developments in the U.S. He theorized that the dance hall stakeholders' involvement in crime is finally catching up with the public. He adds that, quote, "The public is realizing what we have been dealing with, where criminals hide behind the popularity of music while committing these serious and violent crimes," end quote. And the Clarendon police have theorized that a land dispute is at the center of Tuesday's double murder in Tollgate in the parish. 61-year-old Evan Francis and his wife, 46-year-old Alicia Francis, were gunned down at their gate on Duke Street sometime before 6 o'clock. Mr. Francis's son was shot and killed on Monday at Milk River in the parish. Head of the Clarendon Police, Superintendent Carlos Russell, says the incident is an indication of the, quote, "callousness and or inability to deal with our issues in a peaceful way," end quote. He is urging residents to find amicable ways to settle disputes instead of turning to violence. The superintendent adds that he is confident that the police will make a breakthrough in their investigation into the murders. The Kingston Western Police are listing several individuals as persons of interest. They are Tajay Freeman, otherwise called Weng, Lester Coke, Christopher Coke Jr., otherwise called Titiman, Ryan Bembridge, otherwise called Little Blacks, Dwayne Grant, otherwise called Billy, and Reddy Reddy. These individuals have been identified by detectives as persons who may be able to assist them with ongoing investigations into crimes committed in the division. Several attempts have been made to contact them at their known addresses and phone numbers. However, these efforts have failed. These men were asked to make contact with detectives at the Denham Town Criminal Investigations Branch by 6 o'clock Friday evening. Additionally, anyone with information that can assist the investigation is asked to contact the Denham Town CIB at 876-948-6443, Crime Stop at 311, the JCF tip line at 811, or the nearest police station. And the police have listed 29-year-old Nesta Morrison, otherwise called Bigger Crime or Grimy Boss, as one of the most wanted men who has been wreaking havoc in the 11 miles area of Wool Bay, St. Thomas. The police say a major operation by the Joint Anti-Gang Task Force is underway in the area to apprehend Morrison and his associates. The police describe him as the leader of the Tankwell gang and say Morrison is considered to be armed and dangerous and has been linked to multiple incidents of major crime, including murder, shooting, and arson. He is also wanted for shooting at a police team some time ago. Morrison, who the police say has been listed as wanted several times before, is being urged to turn himself into the security forces immediately. Additionally, the security forces are warning that anyone who may be associated with Morrison and may be harboring him at their residences will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law once found to be involved in such illegal activities. And anyone with information on the whereabouts of Nesta Morrison is being asked to contact the Joint Anti-Gang Task Force at 876-224-4483, Crime Stop at 311, NIB tip line at 811, or the JDF tip line at 876-837-8888. Minister of Science, Energy and Technology Daryl Vaz says the government is looking to incorporate nuclear power in the country's energy mix as part of the thrust to make eco-friendly options available to all Jamaicans. He says it will be used as a medium to long-term option as the ministry and the government recognize the importance of science to nation building. He says it must become a way of life in Jamaica. In the meantime, Director General of the International Center for Environmental and Nuclear Sciences, ICENS, Professor Charles Grant, welcomes the announcement, noting that newer and smaller nuclear reactors are safe for generating electricity. ICENS uses the Jamaican Safe Low Power Critical Experiment Slowpoke 2 nuclear reactor to aid in research and national development initiatives. Slowpoke is a family of low-energy, tank-in-pool type nuclear research reactors designed by Atomic Energy of Canada Limited. The local facility, which is the only one of its kind commissioned for use outside Canada, has given credence to the possibility of nuclear energy utilization for power generation in Jamaica. As St. Thomas residents consider suing the government over the negative impacts of the construction of the South Coast Highway, Opposition Member of Parliament for East Kingston and Port Royal, Philip Paulwell, is offering his legal services pro bono. Paulwell claims that the residents' rights to a healthy environment have been negatively impacted as a result of the slow pace of construction. Paulwell says he has been engaging in consultations with residents about the damages they've incurred over the period and notes that he had been seeking redress on behalf of the residents either through the courts or a negotiated settlement. The MP says the move to take on the government over the issues St. Thomas residents have been facing has been in the works for some time. He says residents are frustrated to the point where they have threatened to block roads. He says this has forced him into action. Paulwell notes that the idea to sue the government was not initiated by the People's National Party. And in business news, the Bank of Jamaica, BOJ, says while the country's financial systems remain stable, increased global uncertainty requires heightened surveillance. The latest report from the bank's Financial Policy Committee says Jamaica's economy is expected to continue growing, but warns that inflation and monetary tightening in the country's main trading partners present a challenge. According to the BOJ, the financial system up to the end of August this year remained generally stable. Financial institutions continued to be adequately capitalized, liquid, and profitable. Additionally, asset quality for the banking sector remained stable and well within the prudential benchmark. The central bank says while the Jamaican economy continues to record strong growth for the calendar year up to September, inflation also accelerated. The expansion in the economy has been principally driven by the performance of the tourism sector, supported by strong remittance inflows. However, inflation rose from an annual average of 7.4% in March 2022 to 9.9% in September, above the central bank's target range of 4 to 6%. The BOJ also warns that risks emanating from continued monetary tightening and fears of a global recession have risen. However, it says domestic financial institutions are adequately capitalized to withstand these potential shocks. In the region, the government of Barbados has reversed its decision to rename the country's Independence Day to Barbados Day. The reversal follows sustained public backlash. In an announcement earlier this week, the Mia Mottley administration stated that November 30 would no longer be known as Independence Day, but would be called Barbados National Day. The move was being taken in order to incorporate celebrations for the anniversary of the country becoming a republic. At the time, Prime Minister Mottley defended the decision. However, things changed late Wednesday, and Minister of Home Affairs, Information and Public Affairs Wilfred Abrahams said the response of Barbadians from all levels of society have been swift and vocal, with the overwhelming majority not in favor of the change or of its timing. This decision follows a statement from the president of the Democratic Labour Party, Dr. Ronnie Yearwood, who called it a, quote, stupid, downright callous and foolish move, end quote. And over in Guyana, the country is set to earn more money from the oil sector under a new production sharing agreement PSA that would govern production from oil blocks. Vice President Bharat Jagdeo made the announcement Wednesday as the country prepares for its first ever bid round early next year for 14 offshore blocks. Mr. Jagdeo also announced that Guyanese companies would be entitled to bid for any of the 11 oil blocks in shallow waters. Under the new PSA that would also include new exploration in existing concessions, the vice president said profit oil would be increased from 25% to a maximum of 35%. Royalty rates would be hiked from 2% to 10%, and there would be a 10% corporate tax. The profit oil is split 50% between the producer and the Guyana government, so under the new PSA, Guyana's profit oil would move from 12.5% plus 2% royalty to 17.5% plus 10% royalty. And on the international scene, millions are experiencing record warmth for November, with temperatures possibly fueling severe storms and tornadoes. Highs in the upper 70s and 80s will fuel a potential severe outbreak across the southern United States, where large hail and strong tornadoes will be possible. This stretch of November warmth will be both record-setting in the temperatures themselves and also the duration of the warmth. New York's LaGuardia Airport could set record highs 3 days in a row, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Other cities that could set record highs in the coming days include Washington, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Memphis, and Buffalo, and New York. This adds to concerns about the consequences already being felt from climate change. Scientists say these are the conditions that are expected to continue in the coming years. And the U.S. Defense Department announced a new security assistance package for Ukraine worth about $400 million under the Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative. The package includes tanks and drones. The package supplies refurbished T-72 tanks, new Phoenix Ghost drones, funding to refurbish Hawk air defense systems to send to Ukraine, and other items. The tanks will be coming from the Czech Republic, with the U.S. paying for 45 of them to be refurbished and the Netherlands paying to refurbish an additional 45 tanks. Some of the tanks are expected to be delivered by the end of December. And onto sports news. A 19-member squad, including 4 newcomers, has been announced for the Reggae Boys Friendly International away to Cameroon on November 9. Mount Pleasant Academy pair of defender Alwyn Harvey and forward Trevante Stewart, as well as Dunbeholden forward Peter McGregor, are the 3 local-based newcomers. The 4th newcomer to the squad is former national youth representative Justin McMaster of Minnesota FC. The local delegation departed the island Thursday afternoon for Cameroon. Next Wednesday's match, which will be contested outside the FIFA international window, will be the first ever meeting between the teams. And Jamaican all-rounder Andre Russell will make a return to the Australian Big Bash for a 2nd straight season. He was signed as a replacement player for the Melbourne Renegades' #1 pick Liam Livingstone. Russell was overlooked in August's draft in part due to his limited availability and high price tag, but has signed for a 4-game stint in December following Livingstone's inclusion in England's Test squad for their tour of Pakistan. It will be his 2nd stint as a Renegade after he first represented the club in BBL 2004 and 4th season in the competition after previous campaigns with Sydney Thunder and most recently the Melbourne Stars last summer. And that's it for your news roundup for today and for this week. I am Abigail Smythe. Have a great weekend and see you next time.